All right, welcome to this webinar that we've got between ourselves and Vanda at Alpha Coaching. So welcome back, Vanda. You just unmute yourself. You're good to go. So, for you guys that are on watching this, Vanda and I are part of a training and coaching mentorship that we've been on for quite a while. We worked together in various aspects, and we were at a what you might call a works night out recently. We were at the coaches the coaches night out, and we connected. Then we were talking a lot about our ethos on how we coach our teams. Vanda's over at Airdrie, isn't it? Vanda's a coach.
Yes, I'm Airdrie. Yep,
You're
yep.
Airdrie, right? So, we're not too far away. But we were chatting a little bit about how we coach our guys. Vanda's got her own gym over there. And we're both big believers in strength training, conditioning, and we have a lot of similar crossovers in our ethos. And we thought it might be quite good to do this webinar and just chat a little bit about how Vanda coaches her guys, how we work as well, and see if you can get a bit of value for this to really understand how you should be applying strength and conditioning training and how you should be approaching this in terms of your lifestyle. Do you know what I
Yep,
mean? So a lot of this is going to be lifestyle. We're going to chat about hormones. We're going to chat about strength training, hit training,
yep.
attitudes to building this into your lifestyle. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Vanda.
Thank you so much. That was a great wee intro.
Welcome.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, as Alan said, we had the usual kind of conversation that PTs have, but I think we both kind of realised that actually we've got lots of both similarities and differences within you guys as client groups and businesses and what we want to promote and what we want to do. But obviously we have differences as people as well. Like, let's be straight about it. Male, female, slightly different background and experience and different things, slightly different reason for entering the industry, but also a lot of different goals in terms of our lifestyle, our bodies, and stuff like that. So, what we kind of thought about was how could we come together and give some benefit to all of our clients that would actually let everyone kind of see both sides of the coin and really understand exactly why we do what we do and how you guys can apply it. So, if you want to pop onto the next slide for me, Alan, just a little bit more about me, first of all, just so that you've got a little bit of background, guys. So I had a very big event happen in 2019. I was still married at the time, and me and my ex-husband were considering children. And after multiple years of nothing really happening, went to the doctors only to find out that for me personally, there was absolutely no medical reason not to go ahead apart from my weight. Now, for someone who was always into the gym, always went to the gym, that was pretty fucking shocking. To know that you thought you were relatively fit and healthy, but actually the one thing that you really wanted at that point in time of parenthood that medically you were not able to do because you were counted as too high risk. Uh, Put it this way, your heart drops out your arsehole is probably the most polite way to put it. So for me, that kind of sent me on a bit of a journey on looking at my whole lifestyle entirely, and figuring out exactly what I needed to do to make some really big changes. So for me, I dropped down from about 87 kilos down to 55. I now currently sit around about 60 comfortably. And within that time, I have changed from being in the financial services sector into having this PT business and really have changed my whole entire ethos around what a healthy lifestyle looks like for me. And strength training is such a huge part of that, both from a perspective of what I love, but also from a perspective of what I know my body needs, particularly at the age I'm at now. I'm going to be 39 in 3 weeks. And honestly, I am at that point now where this is the time that my body is going to start changing and I need to be ahead of the game on it. So we're going to kick into the first topic. What I will just ask, guys, is as we go through this, please don't hesitate to ask for unmute and interrupt yourself if you've got questions, but we will make time for questions at the end for anyone that's got any as well, guys. Okay. So first topic is, why is strength training so important for Alpha, but why is it also going to be so important for you guys? So as I say, we've got multiple reasons for it, and they will all differ based on your gender, your lifestyle, and any health and medical conditions that you have. But there's some key aspects that are across the board for everybody. The fact of the matter is, strength training is going to be the thing that provides you that body composition change. And I'm going to say this as direct as I can, particularly for the ladies in the room that are watching. I know full well that there is many of you sitting watching this right now, both live and on record, that if I was to say to you, would you love to drop 1 to 2 dress sizes? You would be over the moon at that. But if I had to say to you, you're going to be the same weight, you would not give a fuck. Like, you would rather the dress size was different than the scale weight was different. And that's where your body composition comes in, guys. It's really key to understanding that what myself and Alan are working towards isn't dropping lots and lots of scale weight for all of you. It's dropping body fat that's unnecessary and excessive body fat, and allowing you to then replace that with increasing your muscle mass so that you get both the figure that you're looking for, which obviously is the aesthetic purpose of a lot of us going to the gym, the mental health side of it, being able to have the confidence in your strength, your capabilities, and your body shape to be able to walk in and own your space. But also on top of that, guys, that is where those healthy bodies lie. You want to be in a position, guys, where you get the point to 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and your body fat and muscle ratio is in a really good place. And the issue that we have in the UK right now, guys, isn't that we're over fat, it's that we're under muscled. We need to push more on muscle mass in order for our bodies to look the way that we want them to look, feel the way that we want them to feel, and behave the way that we need them to behave, guys. So for body composition, dependent on whether you're male or female, what we're really looking for is body fat ratio to range anything from around 10% to 25 to 30%, depending on your gender, your age group, and your medical conditions. What I'm going to say to you, and I speak to my guys about this all the time, is if you are in doubt of where that needs to be, speak to Alan. Let him do his job as a coach and direct you to finding your healthy space that will allow you to have what you want to have body-wise, but also make sure that it is going to actually be achievable for your lifestyle as well. I've been at the point, guys, where I've been down at 53, 54 kilos. My body fat has been 10% less than what it is right now. Quite honestly, for me right now, over the next 3 to 4 years, that's not a good lifestyle space for me. It's not going to give me what I want, but there will be a point in time that it will. And it's about understanding where that composition needs to be at any given time, guys. And that then leads on to how age and muscle mass have a direct relationship. So the reason that they have a direct relationship, guys, is above the age of between 35 and 40 for both men and women, our muscle mass declines without us doing anything. It's just all of the change in hormonal control in our body. It will mean that our muscle mass will drop, guys. So we need to strength train in order to both combat that and improve that. We don't have the opportunity to not do that, unfortunately, guys, because biology cannot be changed. Your body will change as you get older, and your muscle mass will drop unless you do something about it. And that then leads on to toned. Toned is just visible muscle mass, guys. It is not some fancy 6-minute ab workout. You don't get toned arms from just casually, having wrist weights walking about all day. Toned is visible muscle mass. And that is where that body composition comes in, guys. But the two big aspects of this that I really want to focus on are health and mental resilience. One of the things that I focus on so much on the strength training part with Alpha is making sure that my guys fully understand what happens if they do not promote good muscle mass in their body. For females in particular, osteoporosis is a huge, huge factor for them, particularly when you hit things like perimenopause and menopause. It is really important that you look to improve your muscle mass as much as possible to help your bone density. Hormone control, again, we have both men and women are going to go through massive hormone changes at the end of their 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you have your body fat and your muscle mass in a good place, that symptomatic element as your hormones change will be reduced as much as possible. And then making sure that the body fat that you have on your body is in a good space, in the sense of having enough of it, will make sure that as you get older as well, that you're not running the risk of things like excess slips, trips and falls, guys. Or alternatively, mental health issues is what we see a lot of with people with too low a body fat. And then the last part of it is mental resilience. There is nothing more resilient than someone who can spend 12 months going into the gym or going to a class to try and achieve a particular thing. It will prove to you that you are resilient in your mind. If you can see yourself through knowing that there will be points in that journey that you will see no change on, whether it be your body or on the bar or your dumbbells, and then suddenly all of the snowball effect happens and you can start to see that movement. There is a huge amount of mental resilience that comes with strength training, because it has periods of maintenance, periods of growth, and periods where you need to deload and actually take your foot off the gas. That element of it creates so much mental resilience to understanding that life doesn't always revolve around a straight line for goals. It will honestly give you so much more than hitting out 20 classes a week, using the same dumbbells every week and hoping for the best that something's just going to suddenly change. That's not mental resilience. That's just hammering that your own way is the only way. And for me and Alan, we've been there and done that and seen it with so many clients. There is such a massive, massive improvement in people's mental resilience and their mental health when they see how strength training works, guys. So we'll just jump on to the next slide. But as I say, guys, if anyone's got questions, then please do stop me. So why does only cardio kill you faster? Now, I say this because I have to be really specific on it. What we mean here, guys, is only cardio. What we're not talking about is that don't do any cardio because it's bad for you. Absolutely not. There is real benefits to cardiovascular training, as we would all know. Having a good heart and lungs, we absolutely have to have. But if it's all you're doing, then your bone density, your muscle mass, your hormone control, your body fat stores, they're really not being used for the best use of benefit. So we absolutely have to incorporate it in with strength training. So what I've put down on this slide is hit, list, or a mix. So Alan has been really open about how he looks at his programming with you guys. And what I loved about it is that he was very, very clear with you guys on what that pyramid was in regards to seeing the success that you want to see. And that pyramid absolutely includes all of this. And it's about that mix of everything. It's great doing high intensity workouts. We all get that great endorphin buzz off of them. There's nothing better than coming out the gym and knowing that you've absolutely knocked your pan in. But that can't be all we do. Less is lower intensity. It's steady state. It's making sure that you're moving your body really nicely and well. Your mobility, your flexibility is helped through that. It then allows you to go into your strength training and your high intensity training and actually do it justice. So we have to have all of that in there, guys. So a good week for you should look like strength training, some high intensity training, and some low intensity training in there as well. If you have all three of those, you will be the most successful, both at any aesthetic goals that you've got for your body shape and size, but also in regards to how your body performs and your performance goals overall. So this leads on to why we have the Class Junkie Plateau and the Bang for Your Buck movements. So these are really key for me. Class Junkie Plateau, who's been there? I've been doing Body Attack for like 5 days a week for like 12 weeks and I've changed not at all. Well, yeah, because what are you actually challenging your body? Probably not. So you're hitting a plateau because your body's really used to these classes now. You don't change anything when you go to them and everything's the same. So your body is expecting that and you're not challenging it to change. So nothing then happens. That's where that plateau comes from. And it's honestly, and I'm sure that Alan will agree, it's actually where a lot of the time when we get clients onboarding with us at the very beginning, and you probably seen it all yourself when you started, you get this like whoosh effect at the very beginning when you start doing beta training, where all of that excess like water, body fat, all of the excess kind of salts and sugars just disappear from the body really, really quickly. And you get a really whoosh movement at the beginning when you start the new plan. And that's just because your body's like, right, okay, I'm ready to be challenged. Let's go for it. And then the bang for your buck movement is the reason why you will see in your sessions, Alan has so many really big compound style movements that you do with your dumbbells and your body. Deadlifts, bench presses, squats, thrusters, any type of lunge movement. These are what I call bang for your buck. Because what I want my guys to do is to spend around about 3 to 4 hours in the gym every week and no more. I want them to be doing movements that actually challenge every element of their body in the best way possible, so that they do not need to then do 12 and 15 hours a week in the gym to make the same amount of progress. And that's where big compound movements come in. You've got the fact that most of these movements mean that your abs need to do a hell of a lot of work. So we don't then need to do lots and lots of ab workouts. You've got the fact that your lower back, your upper back, your thighs, your quads are all being used. These are really big muscle groups and expel a lot of energy when you use them. Hence why they will burn more body fat doing stuff like that than doing some sort of crazy MetaFit workout that you've blown out your arse, you're sweating, but actually your body was kind of already ready for it because you were already fit enough to do it. And those all link into progressive overload, guys. So here's the question that I will put out to all of you. You do not need to answer it out loud. If you want to, you can. How many of you got into Alan's classes for the last, let's say, 12 weeks and know exactly what dumbbells you're picking up? Because if you do, then you need to be changing that up. Because the fact of the matter is you've got the opportunity to start improving by progressively overloading and challenging what you do. So you've got multiple ways to do that. One of them is just increase the goddamn weight that you're doing when it starts to feel easier. If you've been using the 10s for the last 12 weeks and you know full well you can use the 10s, grab those 12 and a halves, guys, and give them a shot. You might not get the same amount of reps in that you do on week 1 as you would have with the 10s, but actually your body's be more challenged and will be more likely to grow muscle for you, as long as your diet and your nutrition's on point. If you are using the 10s and you know full well that you can get 20 reps in, let's go for the 22 reps. You have to be looking to overload your body and challenge it at every stage. And guys, this is why too much HIIT isn't good for injury, because you are just going to be bursting your ass for what? You're basically just breaking your body down without allowing it the strength that it needs in order to keep you fit and healthy. So get that strength training in so that when you do your HIIT, those muscles, those bones, those tendons, those ligaments are strong enough to absolutely take the load that you want to take and start to drop that body fat and improve that muscle mass that you need in order to grow. Any questions so far, guys?
I just want to say, actually, this is gold here, right? What we're doing. I can see Gary and Lindsay in the call at the top of the screen there, and you all see them at the front of the session. And then you can just nod, guys, or shake your head or whatever you want. But would you agree that in your training, because you guys also run the Run Club as well, and
Nice.
you guys are never injured. You guys are never injured because you're always challenge yourself, and you train a lot. You do the Run Club, you do all the sessions. You're never injured, and you're always progressing. But have you noticed that? Would you guys agree that you're always challenging yourself in the weight, and you're always aware of the weights that are there, and you're always aware that,
Yep.
okay, I've got to this point, now I'm going to get to this next level. And even if it means I'm doing half of the set with one weight and then I drop it to the lower set to complete it, or I switch out the weights and drop the body weight to
Yep.
complete the set, but you understand that principle. Would you agree with that, guys? Yeah, and I can see them nodding their heads there. I absolutely.
Yes.
They're agreeing with everything. So
And
this
it's
is
so right.
gold, Vanda. Yeah. So back over to you, Vanda.
Amazing. So on to the next slide, which is about the perfect week, and it leads really, really well in one from the other about why do we need a mix in there and what would a perfect week look like. So first things first, perfection doesn't fucking exist. End of. Nobody's had perfect ever. And the reason that nobody's had perfect ever, guys, is because life is a bitch. Like, honestly, no matter what you can try and control everything in the world, but you will never control every variable. And it's about being able to understand that controlling the controllables is exactly what we're focusing on here. So perfection in my mind is where you would get 100% of everything done exactly as you set out. However, that's not really where we make the best progress. We make the best progress when we aim for somewhere in the region of about 85%. And the reason for that is it allows us the flexibility in that additional 15% to make sure that we can pivot on what we need to pivot on without consistently allowing ourselves feelings of failure, feelings of guilt for not going to the gym on that session. Even though realistically, if you'd have gone to the gym and done that session, you would have been broken. You know, you just worked a 16-hour shift. The kids have been sick. Your missus is at home and going absolutely ballistic over the fact that she had 1 hour's sleep last night because the kids kept her up all night vomiting. What would be the point in going and doing that session when realistically that wasn't life's priority at that point in time? It's about understanding that life is always going to have that 15% grey area. And we need, basically, the easiest way for us to succeed is just to build it in the first place. So the exam principle is what I use with all of my clients. So when they come to me, and inevitably today's check-in day, someone is going to say to me, I've got no wins this week. It's been a shit show. It's been a shambles. No. But then they're going to give me all this really amazing information about their week. And my answer is going to be, if this was an exam and you scored 85%, would you pass? And they're going to say, well, yeah. If the kids came in and said that they got a B+ on an exam, are you going to celebrate with them? They're going, well, yeah. So that's what you got this week. So why are you not celebrating something? It might not be 100%, but you know what? You passed the exam. I want you to think about your week that way. I want you to think about your week, your month, your year as having that principle around it. It can't be perfect all the time because that's just not life. We're not calculators that you just do 1 + 1 = 2 and it's the same every time, guys. But honestly, I know full well that you guys as a community can lift each other up when you need to, and you can help each other, challenge each other when you need to. And sometimes that is going to be reminding people that perfection's just not a thing. But also, quite honestly, I don't think perfect's all that it's cracked up to be either. You know, we love our partners, we love our kids because of their own unique ways that they are. You've got to love your journey because it's uniquely yours as well. And that comes with all the challenges and also all the celebrations. So enjoy the fact that, you know what, perfection is your own making. Perfection is do you know what? I went out for dinner with my family and I didn't track any calories, but you know what? For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty for what I ate the next day. Or I didn't feel like I needed to go a run on the treadmill for 40 minutes because I ate more calories. Like, that might be your level of perfection. Someone else's might be I tracked 6 days out of 7. And I've never done that before. So that's my level of perfection. Remember that it's very specific to you guys. And then the last two that I want to just touch on and just really say that if you ever feel like you are getting into this space, reach out to Alan and have the discussion with him, because these are spaces where they will create a lot of guilt and a lot of failure for you. All in and all out, an imposter syndrome. So all in and all out is where exactly that you then start to get so deep into the, if I'm not 100%, I'm off track and it's a failure and I may as well just stop. And a lot of people will do that thing where they'll message and they'll say to us, listen, I've got so much going on in life right now, like I just can't do it. But rather than saying, right, okay, I'm going to try and aim for 60% of what I would like to achieve and still keep progressing, they just take such a step back that they stop all progress. If you ever feel like that, don't sit and feel in that space. Reach out to Alan and have that discussion with him. We will make sure that your plans pivot to make sure that you will continue making progress without overloading and overwhelming you. But if you don't talk to us, we can't help. And then the last part is the imposter theory element. There is nothing worse than sitting in that class, and I do it all the time. I'll sit and I'll go to a new class or I'll go to a new gym or a new area and I'll look over at someone and I'll I always do that thing of, oh, she's about the same height and weight as me and she's lifting so much more. Yeah. And I know fuck all about her. I'm sitting feeling like an imposter and feeling like I'm not good enough, and I know nothing about this other girl. She could be a bloody world champion weightlifter for all I know, and she's just chilling out in the gym, like getting a session in. Always make sure that you are focused on your own progress, being internal to yourself. If you were managing to use 15s last week, and this week you managed to use the 17 and a halves, you fucking celebrate it. It doesn't matter that someone else is using 22 and a halves. It's irrelevant because you are not part of their journey and they are not part of yours when it comes down to that level of progress. And it's very easy to feel like an imposter. It's very easy to feel like you're the one that's behind when other people are celebrating their wins, or as a community, we are celebrating wins. But always, always, always remember again, if you start to feel that way, reach out to Alan, reach out to the community and just say it out loud. Because I guarantee you there is someone else sitting in the background that's turning around thinking that you're the biggest inspiration in the world. And it will give you that context, guys. Because what will happen again is the minute you start to feel that way, you're going to slip back into that all in, all out mindset. And it's just a recipe for disaster, guys. Okay, right. So moving on a slide. Where are we at now? So scales and when you should and shouldn't pay attention to them. So certainly for the girls here, I think that this is more prevalent in female culture than it is in male. The amount of people that I have that start my program and will message me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon saying, I've just weighed myself and I've put like 5 pounds back on. Oh my God, like the world is ending. Yeah, well, have you had your lunch and your dinner? Like, without being crass about it, when was the last time you went for a shit? Like, you have to use the scales wisely, guys. The scales are not here to be anything more than a piece of data and a piece of information that we use to make sure that the program and the progress that you're making are on track and are healthy and are where you're going to get you to where you want to get to. So how you weigh yourself matters massively, guys. So if you're weighing yourself, use the same scales all the time, try the same day of the week or the same point in the day every single time, wear the same clothes, or preferably a lack of clothes every single time. Make sure that if you, for example, go out for dinner on an evening, you don't then assume that you should weigh yourself the next day because it's going to give you any accurate reading. If you are going to weigh yourself multiple times a week, though, guys, look for patterns. Don't look for that one weigh-in that day. Now, this is the reason why I don't like doing this with my guys, because you kind of have to become one of those mathematical geniuses or have one of those spreadsheets that everybody loves that does all their averaging for them. But always look for the patterns if you're going to weigh yourself multiple times a week. You're looking for where the direction of travel is rather than that one specific weigh-in. And it's the reason why, for women in particular, I don't focus on their weight and their check-ins any more than once a month. Because I need to understand and see what your monthly cycle does to your body. Now, for me, I've got a cycle that means that I will fluctuate massively on week 3 of the month, and I will come back down massively on week 4 of the month. That's my natural normal cycle. I've got other girls in my program that will stay at a weight plateau for 3-4 weeks at a time, and then they will have a huge, massive drop. It's just how their body wants to adjust. Part of that's going to be to do with hormone levels. Part of it's just to do with their previous diet experience for some of them as well. And then part of it is to do with the fact that the way that their body and their mindset works around things like menstruation, perimenopause, and menopause is that, do you know what? Tracking and quality of food will be great for 2 weeks of the month, kind of shit for 1 week of the month, and then a little bit in between for 1 week. So when we're looking for it, we look at the monthly average and we look at it that way. And it's a much, much better way to get you out of focusing so much on the scale that actually you end up hindering your behavior. Because what happens is you start emotionally acting based on what the scale tells you. You stand on the scale, it doesn't say what you want it to say. So suddenly you're like, fuck it, I'm having a Chinese tonight because this isn't working. So what the fuck is the point? Sack this all off. Do you know what? I'm not even going to tell Alan. Do you know what? He can do what he wants to do. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. It just doesn't work. But it's actually not the fact that it doesn't work that's bothering you. It's the fact that in that 1 millisecond of a moment, it's not giving you the answer that you want to see. So having that point where we look for patterns rather than look at one single way in, it takes a lot of the emotional element out of a single way in. And it's a really, really positive way to look at it. What I've got on the screen, guys, is 3 pictures of me. I am the same weight in all 3 pictures. Literally to the pound. And I'm sure you'll agree that body shape wise, it's very different in all 3. And the reason for that is that my muscle mass versus body fat ratio is very different in each of them. So the very first one is where I had lost lots of body fat and lots of body weight, but actually I'd been in a very, very long diet phase. And I didn't really have the opportunity to build a lot of body fat because I was in such a surplus for such a long time. So you can actually see I've got quite, because of how long I was overweight for, I've got quite a lot of kind of skin around the middle that just kind of sits over those shorts in comparison to what I do in the next picture, which is exactly the same size, exactly the same weight, but actually I've got a much higher level of muscle mass in the second picture again. And it actually then firmed up a lot of that excess skin that I had around the middle. And then for me, the biggest thing, if I'm really honest, is I can see such a difference in my kind of top half where everything just seems like kind of posturally is tighter. And then we've got the last picture, which again is exactly the same, and is where even at the same amount of the same weight, because I've got slightly more muscle mass again, I've actually got more visible abs there than I do in the first one. And it is just exactly the fact that my body composition has changed massively. So that's why the scales are important at times, but we have to use them the right way. And that's what I mean by a pound is not always a pound. A pound of muscle mass is way more beneficial to you than a pound of body fat. So if you have the opportunity to build the muscle mass, take that opportunity. Eat well, eat the protein, get the rest days in, train hard, build the muscle mass, because actually every pound that you have on your body then is going to be way more beneficial to you than it is being at exactly the same weight, but not having that muscle mass to show, guys. How are we going so far? Any questions, anything that we want to chip in on?
Guys, feel free to unmute if you've got any questions, because this is exactly the message that we always try and put across, and it's just been put across in a way that you will maybe go. Sometimes when somebody when you hear the same person giving the same message over and over for years and years and years at a time, it becomes like somebody shouting in a corner, you know. But when somebody else actually delivers that message in this kind of way, sometimes things can strike home and you can go,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Even if you've heard it before, you might not have really embodied it and heard it.
Yeah.
But is anyone feeling that now you've actually heard some things that you think, I'm thinking of this slightly differently? You can just nod your head or come off mute if you've got any questions, guys. But this is gold so far.
Yeah. Just interrupt me, guys, if anything does come up. So the next slide that we're going to go on to, guys, is just a couple of tasks that I think it would be really, really helpful for everyone to do. And the reason why I think these are really helpful tasks is it really allows you to nail down a lot of your reasoning around why you want to do something. And that in turn can be a really helpful motivator, but also a really helpful indicator for Alan to make sure that what you guys then discuss as a client and coach actually are really helpful. So what are your 3 biggest priorities in life right now? What are your 3 biggest fears and your 3 biggest successes of 2024? So the 3 biggest priorities in life, guys, the reason I ask my clients that when we do our goal setting is because, quite frankly, if they tell me every single priority in life right now is about their health and their fitness, for some of them, I am going to challenge them back on that. They are at healthy weights, they are fit, they are capable, they're making progress in their performance. But actually, do you know what? I know full well for some of them that, for example, that they are doing an additional degree out with their work. And if they're not classing that as a priority, then it's going to be a real challenge for me to make sure that their program is balanced and allows them to still have the quality of life out with the gym as they do in the gym. The same with making sure that their priorities aren't all skewed to professional or family life, where actually their thoughts of their health and their fitness that actually interact with those things aren't being considered at all. So it gives you a really good way to really sit down and have a really good reflective moment on what are those priorities and am I actually acting in accordance to those priorities. So like for me right now, straight up guys, for me health and fitness right now is about really positive maintenance. I have a lot that I want to do over the next 6 months with my business. And I have a lot that I want to do over the next 6 months with some family situations that I want to look into doing more of and being around more. It is not worthwhile for me to go into some big massive diet phase and decide that I'm going to stand on stage or do another photo shoot. Not the thing. But there will be a point in time that that will become a thing. So it's about understanding that those will change. But the only way that you will ever be able to really truly understand those is to take the moment to take a step back and actually take a breath and reflect on what they need to be. Your fears. The reason we ask our fears is because actually those are a very, very good indicator of whether your priorities link in with your fears. If you, for example, say that you are terrified of being massively overweight again, but none of your priorities are your health and fitness, you're not that scared of it. Sorry, you're not. Without being savage about it, that's a fucking lie. Because if you're not going to put your health and fitness at the forefront, but your biggest fear is walking into a shop and not being able to buy size X, Y, or Z, then those don't align. And you need to look at what do I need to do with my behaviours and my actions to make sure that my actual fears and my priorities do align with each other. And then the last part of it is successes, because in Scotland in particular, we are shit at being up our own head about celebrating ourselves. We have that absolute West of Scotland fucking, oh, to say anything positive about yourself is to be an arsehole, it's to be egotistical. Like, just start putting yourself down more. That's how we do things. But actually, that's just not the way of it. It's not the way of the world anymore. It's absolutely okay to celebrate yourself. But you have to do it in a way where actually you've done the grind for it. And that's the one thing I'm going to call out on that one. I'm going to be honest. I have clients who want me to celebrate them on a transformation post, and I've said no because I genuinely don't think they've done enough fucking work. And I've told them that straight. Because if I know you're capable of here and you're only giving me here, no. You need to do what is needed to earn the celebration. But remember, what you're celebrating is entirely individual to you. It's not about what someone else is celebrating. It's about what you are. Like, for example, I posted one of my girls this morning. So she left me a voice note last night. And the joy in her voice is amazing because she went shopping yesterday for her holiday clothes and basically bought a size or 2 sizes down on everything. Like, but actually what I wanted to celebrate is the fucking joy in her voice and the confidence and the happiness, because actually that wasn't there before. She would go shopping and have absolute meltdowns in dressing rooms because she was so focused on the number that she was buying and what she couldn't buy. She wasn't focusing on what she could buy. So think about that, guys, in terms of making sure that those things that you celebrate are very much about you. They matter to you. If you're celebrating something because it matters to someone else, you're celebrating the wrong stuff. Celebrate things that really mean something to you. So we've got hormones and lifestyle changes. Oh, the joys of getting older, guys. What can we expect? So for women and men, it will all be very, very similar, but the symptoms for women and men are slightly different. What I will also call out on this is if you are a couple and you and your partner are at similar points and similar ages, and you're both in any sort of hormonal fluctuation or decline, take the time to actually speak to each other and understand each other's symptoms and how you're feeling. Because one of the biggest challenges I see with people is the fact that they just don't have the conversation. I'm going to say this very, very black and white. Women, we are not the only one who is affected by this. Men are affected too. They will have symptoms. Just because that they are not as dramatic in terms of their onset, it does not mean that they don't have symptoms. We cannot get away from that if we live in the same environment as two people going through the same situation, only with different symptoms, it can be a very testing time. So please do speak to each other on it. There is nothing worse than me I've got two clients that are couple, and honestly, one's going through andropause, one's going through perimenopause, and their household is a very interesting one right now, to say the least. But just getting them to sit down and have that discussion about what they're both feeling in terms of just making sure that each of them understand each other has been a massive, massive change for them. So what can you expect? The basic ones that everyone talks about: fatigue, sweats, additional muscle soreness, changes in temperament, sleepless nights. They're the ones that everybody talks about. What people don't talk about is changes in appetite, whether it be suppressed or increased. What I tend to find with a lot of clients is that their actual diet plan needs to change. For a lot of them, looking down at an 800-calorie meal just seems absolutely vomit-inducing. So we have to break it down into smaller meals through the day. We also find with a lot more so male clients than female, funnily enough, that certain food types really give them the bulk. So like I've got one male client right now that realistically we've had to kind of make him a bit more pescatarian, because meat right now is sending him over the edge. Like he will get a few bites in and it will just literally turn his stomach. Right the way through on the other scale to brain fog, lack of clarity, lack of concentration, lack of interest in things that you've always loved. And then you've got the other side of it as well, which is more to do with the actual physical change to the body. So you are going to have a little bit more fat store around certain bits of your body. For men, it tends to be more on the chest area. For women, it tends to be more in the abdominal area. And that's because of what your body wants to protect. Your body, for men, wants to protect the heart. It wants to protect higher up onto their body. Women, lower down on the body. Let's be honest, it's just where your fucking vital organs are. It's what your body wants to do. But what we need to be doing with this, guys, is learning to understand where to focus attention. That's the key when you hit these hormonal changes. Now, the reason I don't want to go into this on a crazily scientific level, guys, is because quite honestly, it's not going to matter one bit to you. Like, what you want to know is what do you need to be doing and what do you need to control? So where do you need to focus? Quality of food, quality of exercise, and quality of sleep. Those are my 3 key points that I give to anyone, because those are all things in your control. You cannot control how your medications land. You cannot control the fact that you're going to be symptomatic. You cannot control what your doctor will prescribe or not prescribe. And you cannot control how long your perimenopause, your menopause, or your andropause is going to be. They're not in your control. But you can control the quality of food that you put in your body, the quality of exercise that you do, and the quality of sleep that you get. So quality of food, I'm sure Alan has a million different resources that he shares with you guys regularly on this, but make sure, guys, that your protein count is exactly where it needs to be. Do not skimp out on it any day. You're in that point where your muscle mass decline is happening more rapidly. Do not allow yourself to fall into a space where it's declining even more, because that will just make you feel even worse and your body will feel even sorer and even more fatigued from anything that you do. Make sure that your fruits and vegetables are getting in. For women in particular, for perimenopause, there is lots of scientific studies that have shown that very, very, very dark fruits and vegetables are extremely good for some of the lipids and peptide movement in your body that help you with your hormone control. I now think I have about 10 people that buy beetroot every single week, because it is supposedly the best digestible for what you have. So look at dark berries, dark fruits, dark greens, dark purples. All of those kind of things are really, really good for aiding your digestion through that period to make sure that your hormone balance is as good as it possibly can be. And make sure that you use some of your calories for the thing that you're craving. Don't stop yourself having it. If you are a chocoholic, make space for chocolate. If you are a crispaholic, make space for crisps. If you want your fucking glass of wine on a Friday night, have your goddamn glass of wine. Don't let yourself get to the point where the craving becomes so overpowering that you just end up falling into the biscuit tin, falling into 3 bottles of wine instead of 2 glasses of wine. Allow yourself some respect to put things into your diet that you enjoy. Quality of exercise, focus on that strength training. It is where you will make the most progress in that. What you can see is 2 pictures side by side of my amazing client, Arlene. There is only 4 pounds difference in this picture, which is just fucking phenomenal. She has, however, dropped 4 dress sizes as well. And all of that has come from Arlene feeling like, for want of a better term, she said she just had menopause middle. Every single thing that she'd done just went to her belly. And that was exactly because she was just being a pure clash junkie of literally doing MetaFit 6 times a week. And funnily enough, a couple of slides down the line, you'll be able to see it. I've got a podcast running right now, and she's actually just been one of my guests. Be a great listen for all of you. That is really, really important to understand, that actually the more that you strength train in that space, the better it is going to be for you to reduce that body fat and inflammation that your perimenopause or your andropause is causing, guys. And then the last thing that I just want to touch on with that is the sleep quality. So for anyone who is struggling with sleep quality, think about the things that you can control. Make sure that your bedroom environment is a positive and a happy one. If you do not like your bedroom as it is right now, find a fucking way to make it somewhere you like. Because if you can't go into your bedroom at night, shut the door and feel comfortable and contented, you are going to just be thinking. The sweats are there, you've got the fatigue there, but your brain's still going. You're just not going to get quality sleep. Get rid of things like TVs and stuff like that from the bedroom if you can. We all know the impact of things like blue light and stuff like that on sleep quality. And then also, guys, make sure that you've got some sort of routine. Like, it might be like you've got a weekday routine and a weekend routine. It might be that you've got a work day routine and a non-work day routine, but have a routine of sorts. For me right now, it's even the nights that I finish work at 9 o'clock, I am back in the house for past. I will have a sleep aid tea that I have that's got magnesium glycinate and a whole load of other host of stuff in it. I will turn the telly on and set it for a timer for half an hour. I will get into my pajamas, do my teeth, all of that kind of stuff. And then I will literally sit, and however long I've got left, I will veg on my couch with the TV on in the background and doom scroll on my phone until 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, the timer goes off on my phone. All of my notifications shut off on my phone for replying back to anyone, unless it's my family or a couple of friends. Telly goes off and I head into bed after I put the dog down. Now, that's the best that I can offer myself. There's lots of other stuff that other people might do, but that's the best that works for me. Find what works for you. But have a routine of sorts, guys. And then the last part that I just touched on was, if you are still really, really struggling, magnesium glycinate is a supplement that helps suppress your central nervous system. Around about an hour before bedtime, about 5 grams, and you will see a huge, huge difference. I had this discussion with my coach about this I'm not really one for supplements. If I can do it with my food, I'll always will. But Adam's view on it was, and he is absolutely right, he's a nutritionist as well as a PT, there is very little way to get the amount of magnesium glycinate in your diet in the UK in order for that to be something that you could do. You would literally need to have about fucking 10 packets of spinach in a day in order for that to happen, which, let's be honest, none of us are doing. There is other countries in the world that have more of a prevalence of like shellfish and seafood that might be able to get away with other dietary changes. We're just not really in that space. So magnesium glycinate, 3.5 to 5 grams, and I guarantee you, you will fare so much better for it. And then the last slide, just to slide on to, guys, and it's one that I just added in because I realised when I was doing my own check-ins the other day just how impactful that it can be. And it is about making sure that the relationships in your life that you are actually looking at critically and positively. So you're going to see changes in your relationships as you go through this journey. Some people want to be on it with you. Some people are just going to be like that. No, like, I don't respect it. I don't want to do it. You're doing things that I'm not willing to do anymore. And those relationships will change. What I'll always say to my guys is, don't expect your relationships to stay the same. All you're asking people for is for them to respect your journey. They don't need to be on it with you. They don't need to change anything that they do, but they do need to respect what you're choosing to do. And that's where boundaries and expectations come in. So me and Alan had a kind of chat before we joined, and we talked about how for a lot of us, it really is about kind of skin in the game and what we're actually willing to put in. And when you're telling yourself what you're willing to put in and that you're actually doing the do, you've got to then outwardly say that to other people as well, so that they respect that journey, and you're creating a boundary and an expectation with everyone else, as well as yourself. Funnily enough, the podcast that I recorded, I got a reel sent to me from the girl that done the editing, and she basically said that she was absolutely howling because the beginning of the reel is me saying, well, if you're not willing to, like, if you want to see change, you're just going to have to stop acting like a cunt. And like, that's basically the facts of it. Like, nobody in the world can turn around and tell me that they don't know generically what a healthy diet and exercise routine looks like. If you choose to do the opposite, then, well, that's okay, but don't expect change. But we also have to have those same boundaries and expectations with ourselves as well as everybody in our space. And please remember, guys, there is a difference between a boundary and an expectation. An expectation, the other person can just say, no thanks, it's fine, I'll just keep doing what I'm going to do. A boundary is you setting a distinct, hard line stop on specific behaviours, specific actions, where there is consequence for trying to pass that. Make sure that you understand exactly what those two are, because quite frankly, they will both come in to your journey. My friends know full well, if they ask me to go out 6 times a week, the answer is going to be no. My boundary is that realistically, my work week is way more important than being out midweek. Don't ask me, because I'm going to say no. Ask me all you want at the weekends. That's absolutely fine. But expectation-wise, I don't mind if they want to invite me to something during the week once in a while, but they have to have that expectation that I may or may not come along. That's absolutely fine. And that links in, as I say, guys, with the getting involved and respecting. I will always say to people, try and get your partner involved, try and get your kids involved, try and get your spouse involved, whatever it might be. Because you know what? It's a fucking hell of an easier journey. See if you're the person that cooks. See cooking one dinner over 5. Oh, fucking legendary. It doesn't mean they have to, but it's always helpful for them to try and get involved as well. Apart from anything, they're healthier for it. But regardless of whether they get involved or not, they have to respect your actions and what you choose to do. And then the last part I wanted to touch on in relationships is a little bit off the cuff. And it's just how men and women are different, and how us small women are really fucking hard done by here. My lovely gentleman friend that I am seeing is 121 kilograms and 6'3". I am 5'2" and 59.5 this morning. I don't get the fucking chance to eat what he eats, ever. End of. Like, that's just fact. I would love it to be different, but no matter how much muscle mass I put on, I am never going to increase my basal metabolic rate to meet his. We just need to accept that. We also need to accept as well that Men and women have different mindsets towards lots of things, and we have to just accept that, you know what, that then means that there is going to be relationship elements that we do need to discuss. And that's that. Have those conversations, guys, and accept that we are different and we need different things. But overall, guys, make your relationships count. Surround yourself with people that are willing to big you up for the heavens high, and celebrate those people who are willing to tell you the fucking God's honest truth sometimes. Listen, that was your own fault. Listen, you're not making progress because you're not putting in enough work. Listen, you are not going to get what you want here because, quite frankly, you're trying to do it in too short a time. Get those people who are willing to tell you exactly what the lay of the land is, because you will make more progress here in facts and truth than you will from someone who just doesn't want to have that harsh conversation with you. And then, as I say, the last part, guys, is if anyone does want to hear a little bit more about Alpha and their journey and see exactly how some of the guys around Alpha have done basically very, very similar to what you guys are doing and achieving, and just see what gold you can take from them, we do have our uncomfortably comfortable podcast. And so it is there, the YouTube link's there, Alan can share it all he wants, and we can see what everybody thinks. I've had some clients on, I've had some other PTs on, and Alan will likely be on in the future. So it would be great to see if anyone has any takes, or if there's topics that you would love to see. If it's maybe a topic for me and Alan, then we can crack at it. So guys, that's everything that I've got. Does anyone have questions or anything that you want to hear from me or Alan on?
Guys, don't be shy. I'm going to stop the share so that I can just see your faces on the screen. Okay, guys. That was absolutely brilliant, Vanda. I absolutely loved every part of that. It was every part of these messages are messages that we were talking earlier on, and we were saying, you know, if you get any good coach and PT, we will have these messages, but you put it in a way that was just so well structured and organized, and I think people really were able to take it on board.
I'm glad.
And I think we probably won't have a lot of questions because so many things were covered. I mean, it was everything that was covered. Is there any of you guys get any thoughts or any questions out there before we wrap up this last part?
We were just saying how it was so relatable. Everything that you've said, obviously being in a partnership and we're both in it together and kind of training together, we've got kind of same spurring each other on and stuff. It definitely helps massively.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for you guys, it's exactly that. You know, when you're there and you've just got to use it to your advantage. And like, to be fair, I see all the time, like, I've got my one client that's a couple that are probably the epitome of this is Lisa and Martin done Hyrox, and Martin tried to take the sled off Lisa halfway through because she was struggling. And I'd have a video of Lisa turning around in the middle of a Hyrox competition and telling him to fuck off because she was like, I will fucking do this. But it was that way, like, they bounce off each other so well for it. They know exactly what they need, and you can use it so much to your advantage when the other person's in the same headspace, but also to get each other out of a bad headspace. To be like,
absolutely.
Yeah, but you know, remember where we both were 6 months ago? We're not there now. Like, it's okay to have a couple of days that you feel a little bit shit for yourself, but you know, we're better than this. Remember when this happened? Remember when that happened? And give each other context. So great to hear that it really hit home. And honestly, for you guys, I think it is exactly that. It's, you know, use it to lift each other up as much as possible, and you know, sometimes give each other the reality check.
So we've just recently completed a Hyrox sim, and we both put in as much as for each other. And I wouldn't expect anything less of Lindsay, because she's smaller framed. She's maybe not as strong as I am, but she put 110% into that Hyrox.
Amazing.
Like, she done better than me in some aspects. I've done better than her in some aspects, but
and that's the joy of partnership, isn't it? And that's the joy of something like Hyrox with a partner. You know, you can lean into each other's strengths. You know, like, there's always going to be a better runner. There's always going to be a stronger one. There's always going to be a more resilient one. Like, it's just the lay of the land. But if you use it to your advantage, you can get through it with a smile on your face.
That's why it works so well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just touching on what you said earlier on about progressing within the sessions, me personally, I went, like, when I first started, and I was lifting 10s, and then I went up to 11s, and then I went up to 12 and a halves. Then I went up to 15s, and just recently I've started lifting 20s. So
Yeah.
I might not
Yes.
get good form at my 20s. I'm going to do it to failure, but I'm there and I'm trying it and I'm doing it. And like Alan's seen obviously what I'm doing as well. So, but I'm enjoying it and I'm pushing myself.
Yeah.
Because
And that's going to be the
only way I'm
difference
gonna
for
progress.
you. Yeah, it's going to be the difference for you in losing weight and building a physique. That if, to be quite crass about it, every single person can lose weight. Like it's not rocket science. Like calorie deficit, move more, the basic principles. It's everybody can lose weight. Not everybody can create a body and a physique as they go. That's and that'll be the difference for you getting to a point in your journey that you're just like that. Yeah, I've done all of this. What I see in the mirror, I've done that. But actually not feeling like you've got like to the point where I made on those pictures of me at the beginning, like I just felt like I was small, like I just had hundreds of excess skin, I didn't have a shape to me. Like, yes, I was small, I was thin now, but that's all I was. I still didn't feel good in or out my clothes. So what was the point in being 55 kilos when I didn't feel happier? Like I wasn't, because actually the figure I wanted to see in the mirror still didn't exist. So it was only when I really came out of the diet phase and spent a good solid 12 months just building some muscle that actually I was like, no, this is like, I've always said I want to look more athletic than thin. Like, and that's where for me it was that light bulb moment of the scales don't really give me any indication as to how happy I am with what I see. Like, yeah, I want to be in a good, happy, healthy state, but that's going to be very, very little driven by the scale at this point. Like,
I think it's one of the biggest factors when we do our check-ins as well. And I always say to people, there's people always booking in for their body comp analysis, and that's great. But I'm always saying to people, are you putting in your progress photos as well? Are you looking at what your clothes are like, all that stuff? We've got to look at all of that.
Yeah.
But do you know, there were so many points in that as well, in that whole presentation there at Vanda. I'm actually going to go back, we've recorded this, so obviously I'm going to go back through it all, and we're going to highlight, I'm going to actually re-highlight all these points again, because there was a lot there, and we're going to really pull into something. And some of the points there as well, and just for example, andropause, for those who don't know, is basically the male menopause. It's basically just what happens to men after the age of 40, and it's always the age of 40. I've actually
40,
I'm 52 now, you know, so I've obviously looked into that a lot, and understanding that type of thing and the effect that has, that's a whole subject in itself. So menopause, andropause is a whole thing that we could do another podcast on.
Exactly.
I think that you're just remind everyone the name of your podcast, Uncomfortably Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortably Comfortable. It's a phrase we use a lot in Alpha. We use two phrases a lot. That one, and then the other one is being selfishly selfless.
Like that.
In my mind, you cannot give your best if you don't feel remotely good. We have to be selfish in order for us to give our best out to people. That can be selfish in a million ways. It can be just getting to the gym and being able to have your own mental health time at the gym, away from your kids and away from the hubby or the wife. It could be that you don't eat the same foods as everyone else in the house. It could be that you pay money for a gym membership and a PT membership and all of that kind of stuff. But there's got to be things in there where you realise that actually for you to be your best self and actually to project the best self you can to everybody around you, that takes being selfish. And it's not in a negative way. It's in the most positive way possible.
Because it's actually beneficial for everyone around you to actually do that. And sometimes it's to not be selfish actually is selfish, because it's actually, you know, it's believing your own story, the story that you've told yourself, believing that, and the other people don't get the best version of you. And I think you've really put that across brilliantly. And I think, you know, I think it would be really good. I'd love to come onto your podcast, Vanda. I think we'll do that in the near future. This has been great. I've really enjoyed this. And also, I'd love to have you come out. Who would like to meet Vanda in person?
Yeah.
I'd love for you to come out
Yes,
to
let's
one
do
of
it.
our sessions. Just do it. Just come out to one of our sessions and
Would
just
absolutely love that. That would be
come and have a
amazing.
wee
And
session with us. It'll be a
honestly, and
laugh.
if there is, even if it's, for example, something that we've touched on here, now I know, and to Alan's point exactly, I totally agree. When we chatted through on doing this, we didn't want to do just one topic and it be laser focused. We wanted it to be quite holistic, because obviously our ethoses are quite holistically based, but there's topics in there that if you do want to dive further into, then we absolutely can have that, you know, Q&A after the session. We can sit down, if it's grab a table in a coffee shop somewhere or something like that, and just dissect stuff, because honestly, I am that sad person that will talk about this for 20 hours and not be bored. So yes, but I would love to. We'll more than happily come through to a session whenever works for you guys.
Fantastic. Vanda, you and I will actually get that arranged pretty soon. We'll take a look at the calendars. We'll
Yep.
tie in. And we're obviously going to share this recording into the group.
Yep.
And there'll be, actually, I've noticed that there's been some questions coming through in Messenger.
Oh, perfect.
People are a bit
Perfect.
shy to speak out on a podcast or anything like that, but we have been getting questions coming through.
To be fair, David's taken himself off mute. Do you have a question?
Oh,
Or did you do that by accident?
No, it's just basically I'm new to Total Body Boot Camp, and what I found being a new member was feeling awkward at the time.
Yeah.
But the more you get into it and the more you get to realise who's there, and what it gets me is that Gary was one of them, but they turned out to be a good session, David, a really good session. See that small thing, it makes you feel a lot better. I know I feel a lot better, I must admit.
Massively. And it's the reason why community is so important for me. One of my clients, actually Arlene, that I spoke about on that, like, she basically was a member of a gym that I was at before I started PTing. So we knew each other that way, but even she said that, like, Vanda, you're not really the same person I knew then. Like, you didn't talk to me, but it was that way. Like, you didn't really talk to anyone. Your head was always down, you just got on with stuff, but you didn't really want to you clearly didn't feel comfortable getting involved with everybody. But I know how it feels for me, like, and I don't deny it, I still get quite a lot of gym anxiety, which sounds so ridiculous. But if I go into JD and my gym partner that I normally go with isn't with me, or it's a particularly busy night in the gym, I do get a lot of gym anxiety, and I just kind of do the whole, all right, okay, this is going to be the fastest station in the world and I'm going to get out. So I think it's such a massive thing, like you say, just have even one person pass, like, just a comforting comment that lets you just exhale the breath and be like, actually, do you know what, I'm okay to be here. Like, it makes such a huge difference. And just having those people around you that are all trying to fucking hammer home the same thing that you're doing. You know, it's not easy when there's lots of people that support you, but don't understand what you're doing. It can be very lonely.
Yeah. I think we've really managed to kind of foster that, we've really fostered that environment where we are as well. So I think it's, I think if any new people are watching this as well, maybe new people will join TBB, you know, and we'll obviously get them to watch this webinar, you know, they'll see themselves that they'll understand that everyone within our community will just bring them in and make them super welcome, you know. And we'll definitely do that with you as well, Vanda, when you come over to come and train with us for a session.
Absolutely. Just don't kill me. It's been a while since I've done
Don't worry, we'll all just do it together. So that is listen, guys, this has been amazing. We've managed to chat for an hour and 10 minutes, and it's been amazing. So I'm really glad that we've managed to record this as well. So we're going to get this out to the group, but we're going to share this far and wide. As many people that want to see this as possible would be amazing. And we'll wrap up from here. You will have questions after this. Anyone who's watching this live, anyone who's watching the replay will have questions. Please send me the questions, and it'll be questions that I will send over to Vanda as well. We'll maybe prepare a new podcast for you, but we'll do it as a live podcast, and we'll do it as a Q&A after a training session. So this is just the start. I just want to say Vanda, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime.
Really, really appreciate that. I know the guys do as well.
Thank
and
you.
love to
No,
get
thank you
back.
guys.
Thank you.
Honestly, absolutely amazing. And as I say, ask all the questions all the way. I'll try and get over. We'll get that session smashed out. But if there's topics in there that just feel like you want that deep dive in them more, then let us know. And between us all, we can absolutely make sure that whether it be me, whether it be one of the other coaches that myself and Alan know that it's like maybe an expertise area, or whatever it is, we can make it happen. We've got absolutely, if you've got ideas of what you would want to hear Alan talk about on my podcast, let me know, because it would be interesting to hear what you think he should talk about rather than what he thinks we should talk about.
I like that. That's definitely something we're going to get all of you to do. So
yeah, because I know what my guys would want, and quite frankly, they're not getting it. Hence the reason why I won't ask them.
Right, so guys,
Thank
we're going
you
to
so
wrap
much,
up.
guys.
Thank you again, Vanda. That was gold, and we'll pick up from here right afterwards. All right, we'll see you all
Amazing.
soon. Thanks for coming on.
Have a great one, guys. See you soon.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.